Good evening, citizens. Welcome to Neusatz, where the Danube's breath drifts through the alleys of Podbara, and the lamps cast long shadows across streets older than memory. Here, the air still carries the scent of marsh water, and the stones remember the weight of those who came seeking refuge. Tonight, we turn toward the Almash Quarter, where faith and defiance shaped a sanctuary unlike any other. Born of exile, raised by calloused hands, it was built not by erasing the past, but by enclosing it, stone rising around clay, until the old walls were carried out through the doors of the new. Come with me as we step beneath the scarred tower of the Almashka Church and listen for the bells, some real, some only remembered, that have called this quarter home for more than 300 years.
In the low, marsh-hemmed quarter of Podbara, where the Danube's breath drifts in slow ribbons and the streets keep the memory of water in their shine, there stands a sentinel of stone. Good midnight, kindred spirits. Tonight, we walk where the fog clings to the ankles and the past is never quite dry. Podbara, in the early 18th century, was little more than a soggy edge of the world. The ground was soft, the air thick, and the future uncertain. In 1718, a caravan of weary souls arrived here. Serb families from the village of Almash, driven not by wanderlust, but by necessity. They carried little but faith and memory, their wagons creaking with what they could not bear to leave behind. The name they gave this place, the Almash Quarter, was a tether to a home lost to the marshes and the whims of empire. They were displaced, yes, but not defeated. In the mist, they set about rooting themselves again, determined to carve out a new beginning on this uncertain ground. And so the story of the Almashka Church begins, not with triumph, but with a quiet, stubborn hope. Before there were proper houses, before the fields were fenced, the first act of these settlers was to raise a church. It was a fragile thing, built from what the marsh could spare: willow wattle, mud, reed, and rough-cut shingles. The year was 1718, and the chapel was as humble as its congregation. But the ground beneath it was consecrated in an instant. There's a legend, one I've heard whispered more than once in the shadow of the old walls. While digging a well in the churchyard, the settlers unearthed an icon, its colors dimmed by soil, but its saint's eyes unclouded. St. Basil the Great, St. Gregory the Theologian, St. John Chrysostom, the three holy hierarchs. They took it as a sign, a command from heaven. This house would be theirs, but it would bear the name of these saints. The church became the heart of the new community, a place where the displaced could gather, pray, and remember who they were. Even as the walls sagged and the rain crept in, it bound them together, a fragile anchor in a shifting world. But mud and reed do not last. By 1733, the first chapel was crumbling, and the congregation had grown. The Almashani built again, this time with unbaked brick, clay dried by the sun, and a wooden roof. It was still modest, but sturdier, a step closer to permanence. On January 30th, the feast day of the three holy hierarchs, Bishop Vissarion Pavlovich of Bachka consecrated the new church. By 1762, there were 4 priests serving the parish, a sign that the flock was thriving, that the roots were taking hold. The church was more than a building. It was proof that the community was not just surviving, but growing. Yet, sun-dried clay weathers poorly, and the city around them was rising in stone and spire. The Almash Quarter, for all its faith, was still seen as Paorski, peasant, by the merchants downtown. The sting of that word lingered, and the Almashani began to dream of something greater. There's a certain pride that comes from being underestimated. The Almashani, called peasants by their city neighbors, took the insult and turned it into a vow. They would build the largest Orthodox church in Neusatz, a monument not just to their faith, but to their place in the city's story. It was a promise made in the shadow of exclusion, a quiet rebellion against the idea that they were less than those who lived behind grander facades. The vow was not just about stone and mortar. It was about dignity, about claiming a space in the city's memory that could not be ignored. And so, plans began to take shape, and the dream of a church that would eclipse all others took root in the marshy soil of Podbara. In 1797, the Almashani did something no one had seen before. They did not demolish their old church. Instead, they built the new one around it. Imagine it. Stone walls climbing skyward, hugging the earthen chapel like a shell. Prayers still rose inside the old sanctuary, while masons' hammers rang in the vault above. Only when the new edifice was sealed, blessed, and crowned, did they dismantle the old from within, carrying each beam, each brick, through the great west door of the new. The architect, Martin Kovczarski, draped early classicism over a Baroque frame, a single nave flowing into a semicircular apse, a western tower spearing the skyline. Above the door, a plaque announced the sanction of Emperor Francis II, a statement of permanence in the Habsburg order. By 1808, the largest Orthodox church in Neusatz stood complete, a testament to ingenuity, faith, and a stubborn refusal to be forgotten. Step inside, and the air changes. The iconostasis rises, gilded and carved with floral arabesques by Aksentie Markovic, filled with icons by Arsenie Arsa Theodorovich. His saints carry both the movement of the Baroque and the measured calm of classicism. The frescoes, too, are the work of masters, Theodorovich, and later, the Ukrainian Andrei Shaltist, whose brush left its mark in the altar space. At the center of the iconostasis, the three holy hierarchs gaze out, their presence a constant reminder of the church's origins. The artistry is not just decoration, it is a language, a way of telling the story of faith, endurance, and beauty. Each brushstroke, each gilded leaf, is a prayer made visible, a memory preserved in wood and paint. But even stone is not immune to violence. In June 1849, the guns of revolution turned on the city. From the Petrovaradin fortress, artillery fire shattered the church's spire, tore open the roof, and blackened the walls. The scars of that bombardment are still visible, if you know where to look. In 1852, salvation came from the east, Imperial Russia's gold and Orthodox kinship. The tower was rebuilt, but its crown was altered. Lower, oddly shaped, a permanent scar left by fire. The church survived, changed but unbroken, a witness to the city's suffering and resilience. It's a story we've seen before in Neusatz, buildings marked by war, yet refusing to fall silent. In 1905, a new icon appeared on the Marian throne, painted by Uroš Predic, one of Serbia's great realists. He used Anka Pajović, a local woman, as his model for the Virgin.
U crkvu idemo nedeljom, demone ovog kraja da odagnam.
The result was a scandal, too human, the whispers said. But the icon remained, beloved for its warmth as much as its beauty. It's a reminder that the sacred and the everyday are never far apart, that holiness can wear the face of a neighbor. The controversy faded, but the icon endures, a testament to the church's ability to hold both tradition and change within its walls. The bells of the Almashka have their own story, a tale of loss and return. New bells were hung before the Great War, their voices ringing over Podbara. But during the war, Austro-Hungarian authorities confiscated them, melting them down for cannon. The silence that followed was heavy, a wound felt by the whole quarter. In 1928, nearly 5 tons of bronze returned, and the bells sang again. Their sound is more than a call to prayer. It is the heartbeat of a community, a reminder that even after silence, there can be song. Through the Second World War, the Almashka was a quiet refuge. Its doors never closed, even under occupation. In the decades of socialism, when the Almash quarter was marked for demolition, the wrecking crews never came. The plans shifted, and the crooked lanes and low houses endured, guarding the church like old comrades. Today, the Almashka stands not just as a church, but as a layered manuscript of centuries. The faith of exiles, the pride of a maligned quarter, the survivor of bombardment, the keeper of art and memory. If you find yourself there on a mist-heavy night, when the Danube whispers against its banks, you may hear the phantom toll of those lost bells. Stand long enough, and perhaps in the shadows, you will glimpse the saints of the unearthed icon, watching, as they have since the first spade of earth was turned. Until next time, keep listening for the stories beneath your feet. The city is never truly silent.
Thank you for listening to another episode. Stay tuned for more forgotten stories, hidden places, and voices that time tried to silence. Until next time, keep your eyes open and your steps quiet. And remember, you are not welcome here.